So before we begin with any of the worksheets, I want you to find something in your house. Maybe it's your stuffed animals. Maybe it's your Lego. Maybe it's the groceries in the pantry. But I want you to organize them. So for example, if you go to your room and you look at your stuffed animals, maybe you have some that are just teddy bears. Maybe you have some that are house pets like a cat or a dog or a bird or a hamster, anything like that. So I want you to put those items into categories. Or maybe you're looking at the Lego. Maybe you can color code them. So all your red bricks in one pile, all your yellow bricks in another pile, all your green bricks in another pile. Just find something in your house. Maybe your parents can give you an idea. And I want you to practice organizing and sorting and maybe even counting how many of each you have. And once you're done that, we will get into the worksheets. So pause the video here, then we'll get into the worksheets and start the lesson. So to start, on your first page, we are going to go over what a bar graph and a picture graph is. So a bar graph is a graph consisting of horizontal or vertical bars that represent how many times an event or outcome happens. A picture graph or pictograph is a graph that uses pictures or symbols to compare how many times something happens. So if you look at the picture on your paper, this is an example of a bar graph. So as you can see, there's different colored columns. So there's a red one, there's a yellow one, there's a blue one, and a green one. Now each one of these is labeled differently. So the red is cat, the yellow is fish, the blue is pig, and the green is dog. So this is looking at different types of pets that people have. Now this goes into the different parts of a graph using this same picture. So the title, which lets us know what the data represents. So here, the title is our pets. Then you have the labels, and they tell us what type of event or outcome we are looking at. So here are our labels, which were cat, fish, pig, and dog. And the last part is the data, and that tells us how many there are for each outcome or event. So here they're labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So each square represents one person having that animal. So for example, if we count, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 for cat. So that means 4 people have cats. Then we could go to fish and we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 people have fish. And you can go through and do the rest for the pig and the dog and count how many different people have those pets. Now that we've gone over the different parts of a graph, you are going to move on to the next page. So what's going to happen here is we are looking at the different information that we are given, and we are actually going to create our own picture graph. So here, the question is, how many fish did you see? So we have 5 different names. We have Lynn, we have Jan, we have Ed, we have Dan, and we have Ken. So it says that Lynn saw 3, Jan saw 5, Ed saw 6, Dan saw 3, and Ken saw 2. So now, using the fish on the back of the page, you're going to color in each fish a different color that corresponds to one of the names. So say for example you start with Lynn. You could maybe label Lynn the color blue. You're going to color 3 of these fish blue. So you're going to continue that pattern and do the same thing for Jan. So maybe you make Jan red. You're going to color 5 fish red. Once you're done, you're going to cut out the fish and glue them into the square next to that person's name. So you're going to glue Lynn's 3 blue fish in a row next to her name. So pause the video, and I'm going to give you time to do that. And then when you're ready, you can hit play, and we'll continue on with the next portion of the worksheet. Now that you've colored in all the fish and you've put them into your graph, we're going to answer the questions. So the first one, Who saw the most fish? So look at your graph, and you want to look for the bar of pictures that has the most number of fish. So go ahead, count those, and then we'll move on to question 2. So number 2 is who saw the least fish. So you're going to go through your picture graph again, and you're going to see which row of photos of fish has the least amount. Now, question 3 is who saw the same number of fish? So you want to look for the 2 rows that are the same length of pictures. And the last question, how many fish were seen in total? You're going to count up all the fish that you have in your graph. And once you've done that and answered all the questions, we'll move on to the next part. So for this part, there's 4 different worksheets. So I am sure that your parents have picked one that they think would be best for you. So there's going to be one that shows a coin, there's one that shows Lego, there's one that shows stuffed animals, and there's a blank one. So what's going to happen is, say you pick the coin one. You are going to take your coin and you're going to flip it heads or tails. Now, if you land on heads, you are going to color in one of the boxes in the column that says heads for the data of 1. Now you are going to keep flipping that coin until you fill in one of the entire rows in your chart. So both rows do not have to be full, only one does. The other one does not have to be completely filled in. So feel free to flip your coin, fill in your graph, and then when you're done that, we'll move on to the questions. Now, if you have the Lego one, you are going to get some red, blue, green, and yellow bricks. You're going to put them in a bucket, and you are going to pull out different colors. So, once again, just like with the other one, you want to fill one entire column of colors. So, it could be red, it could be blue, it could be green, it could be yellow. It could be either one. And then from there, once you've filled in one entire one and the other ones are partially full, then we'll move on to the questions. Now, in terms of the stuffed animal page, it's the same type of deal. So you are going to organize your teddy bears, your house pet stuffed animals, your magical creature stuffed animals, and your character stuffed animals. And you are going to count how many you have of each. And you are going to fill in your chart accordingly. So maybe you have 4 teddy bears. You are going to color in 4 squares. Maybe you have 2 house pet animals. You're going to fill in 2. And you are going to continue filling in your chart in its entirety. And then move on to the questions. Now, maybe you didn't have either of those and your parents gave you one on the back. So maybe you have to count seeds that you're going to plant in the garden in the summer. So then you're going to label the different seeds. So maybe you have cucumber, watermelon, beet, and radish. And you are going to count how many packets of seeds you have of those different kinds. And you are going to fill in the chart just like I said you would for any of the other ones. Now the difference is on this one, you actually have to fill in the information. So here you want to label the data. So you're going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That way we know how many packets there are in total. Or maybe you're counting something different and those numbers would represent how many you're counting of each. Then you also want to give your graph a title. So say you are counting seeds. You could say number of seed packets or seed packets for summer. And then at the bottom, like I mentioned before, that's going to be where you give names to what the seed packets are. And finally on this one, there are still 2 questions that you have to answer. So once you have completed your worksheet, the questions are pretty much the same for each one, but pertain to what you were looking at. So for example, on the coins, you're going to look at which one you flipped more. So if you flipped more heads, you're going to circle the heads coin. If you flipped more tails, you'll circle the tails coin. And then, how many times did you flip the coin in total? So then you're going to count up every single square of your bar graph. I hope you had fun and you got to make your own graph and get to color and have lots of fun doing that. And next time I see you, I'll bring you something different, and I hope you have an amazing day. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I look forward to bringing you more lessons throughout the week. I will be covering grades 1 through grade 12. Also, some of the grade 1 stuff can apply to JK and SK. It's really up to you and deciding what would be best for your child, but every time I will give you the learning goals. I will give you what it covers in the Ontario curriculum and different ways to extend the information that's being taught. So, happy teaching!